Okay, well, Darren, I want to sort of start from your Peterborough United career, really, and it goes back to January 2007, which I mean, you probably had a little bit more hair back then. It certainly wasn't grey.
It is great.
When you first joined, you actually joined as a player coach. Can you remember how the interview process happened? Because from recollection, I remember having to provide a lot of videos for you because that was the thing back in those days. Do you remember the interview process and how it all came about?
Yeah, I do. What had happened was I got a call from Barry Fry. Obviously, Keith Alexander had gone, and I was at Wrexham at the time playing. And Barry, I know, he'd tried to sign me as a player quite a few times. So I got the call, unexpectedly got the call, and he just said, "Look, we've got a new chairman." And obviously at the time, when Darren had come in, and I think he'd bid £1 million from a cloud. I think that was right. And so everyone was thinking, wow, they're having a right go. But obviously didn't know too much about him. And he just said, look, we're looking for a younger manager. The chairman wants to go with a more sort of youthful look in terms of players and managers. And that was it, really. And I thought, okay. And he said he wants to come down tomorrow. But he was in Florida. He was in Spain. He might have been in America at the time, actually. I think he was. And Barry and Bob said, look, we'll want to interview you tomorrow. And Darren will speak to you on the phone. So I thought, well, and I wasn't going to say no, because I was at the time disappointed I hadn't got the Wrexham job. But thought after my time at Wrexham was coming to an end. So I was really thinking, well, what am I going to do next? So the call came at the perfect time, really, because I'd decided 4 or 5 years earlier I wanted to be a manager, done pretty much all the badges and stuff. So anyway, the team had played at Plymouth, I think the night before, and had travelled up, had stayed overnight at Plymouth and travelled up in the morning. So Barry said, look, come down in the afternoon because the players will just be arriving back, and once they've gone, we can get you in the building, sort of hush-hush thing. So I arrived. Was obviously excited but quite nervous. Never had an interview before. Met Bob and Barry in Darren's now office. Mm-hmm. Spoke, chatted, given what I would expect from a team and my views on the actual current squad. And at the time, they'd just signed George, they'd just signed Aaron, and I didn't have much knowledge of them. I've got to be honest. I think I played against George though in the cup when he was at Stevenage. And that was it was just spoke, and then Darren came on the phone, asked me a few questions. First one was why didn't I get the Wrexham job, or why I thought I didn't get it. We spoke, and then I think I said, put the phone down to Darren. Bob and Barry were like, okay, and I just said, no, I need to speak to him again. I need to see him. I need to meet him. And I remember saying that to myself. I thought, it doesn't feel right not actually meeting him face to face. So Barry said, phone him back. So I phoned him back. I said, look, I need to meet you. I need to get a feel for you. I didn't want to sound too arrogant because obviously no one was going to expect me to get the job. And he went, well, what do you mean? I went, well, I've got to know who I'm working for. And he went, I can't do it. I can't come back I think he was on holiday with his family in America. And I said, well, I'm going to find this tough if you do offer it to me to take it without meeting you. So I think it caught him off the hop and thought, okay, hell, okay. So I went away, and obviously he came back to me and said, or Barry did, and said, look, he's offering you the job. He wants you to take it before Saturday. I think this might have been on the Wednesday. And he can't meet you. And he said, so if you're adamant he's got to meet you, then you won't get the job. I went, oh, okay, we'll forget that then. I'll take the job. So I jumped at it, really, because I thought, well, this is my chance. And then obviously I had 1 or 2 things to do in terms of arranging what staff I wanted to bring with me quite quickly. But it was quite a short interview. I've had interviews obviously since, and that was quite a short one. But it was more, I think Barry knew me anyway as a player, and Barry was adamant he wanted me to play because he was saying, look, you can still cope at the level, which I could. So that was a big attraction to him, and obviously he'd sold it to the chairman, saying, "Look, we're not just going to get a manager; we're going to get a good midfield player, and we may need one." And blah blah blah. So I then had to go back to where I was living, and then that was it. Pack a bag and come down, and then I spoke to Kevin Russell, who'd just left with Dennis Smith at Wrexham, and Kev, loyal as he is, said, "Look, I'm going to have to ring Dennis and get the okay to be able to come down," which he did, and then I haggled with the chairman about getting a fitness coach, but I was adamant on that one, so he let me bring Ben McKenzie, and so that was it really. And then the Friday I came back down. I watched the game on the Saturday, and the Peterborough were playing Stockport. Kev wasn't there, and it was 3-0 Stockport, and it could have been 6. I don't think you remember the game, Phil. It was a bit of a mess. And I rang Kevin on the way back. I said, "We've got some job on here, mate." He was like, "Why? What was it like?" I went, "Awful." But you could see they'd lost a lot of confidence in players, you know. So anyway, I remember after the first game, we got them in on, I think it was the next day on a Sunday for a warm. I can't remember that one, or the Monday. And we got cracking, and I was obviously thinking I was going to play, but I ended up didn't.
You mentioned, obviously, because you came in halfway through that season, was there any kind of remit given to you? Was it, you must get promotion this year, or was it a case of you got time to turn this side into your side? Because, as you say, a couple of players had signed before that, but there was a real mixture of players who'd obviously been there a little while, and players that were of an age whereby you wanted to move them on anyway.
Yeah, I don't think the chairman gave me any. You've got to get us in the playoffs. The hope was to do that, but it wasn't so much pressure like maybe now, or you know. But it was more. I think he was probably thinking, okay, I'm going to take a punt on this, because that's what he was doing. Because I remember, like, when I got the job, there was even the players were like, "Jesus, what's going on here?" Because I hadn't managed. I was very young. I was still playing. So in my own mind, I thought, well, I'm going to have to be very confident with the players in the first meeting. And the first meeting is always very pivotal as a manager when you meet your players. And I got a good feeling on the first meeting. Some like Preston, I didn't get a great feeling. You just get a feeling, you know, where I felt quite confident in the meeting, more confident than I thought I would be. And I think it went quite well. But I think the big thing was the way we changed things very, very quickly in terms of the training and the preparation and the diets and fitness. And the players, you know, a lot of young ones really bought into it. But the squad was a mixed bag. There's no doubt about it. But there was real talent in there. I remember watching the Stockport game, and McLean his energy was unbelievable. You know, and you're thinking, you can work with that, no problem. So, but you had some that needed moving on, you know, and we had a lot of strikers. You had Richards, Benjamin, Samuel. You know, they weren't gonna get to what I needed, you know. And then obviously we brought Mikel Smith in, and you had Mikel and Aaron. It's, you know, the energy and power and pace. The teams just couldn't live with it. So it was a mixed bag, but there was good lads in that squad. You know, some good lads. You had people like Booch, God rest his soul, and then you had Fuch, Big Fucher, great lad, and then you had Gainey. So those three were. Then you had Strax. You know, there was a bit of a car share going on there, so they were good characters. You had Arbour, you know, you had Tiles, who was a very good goalkeeper. So it was a mixed bag. You had Guy Branson, you know. So it wasn't just the younger ones. And then you had Heidi, who'd obviously he was the one that pieced it all together. And I remember we trained at the ground before the first game. My first game was Lincoln away, and it was a big game because it was a derby. And I remember the Thursday before, I thought, well, I'm going to play. You know, I wanted to play 3 at the back with the personnel I had. You know, I remember Barry asking me in an interview and Bob saying, "What formation would you play in?" And I didn't panic, but I just said, 4-4-2. I don't know why, because I've never played it hardly, and I don't like it. But they were both like, great, yeah. But then when I seen the squad, I didn't want to play with 2 centre halves. We didn't have enough there. So it suited the team to play with 3 at the back. But I was going to play in the front of the back 3 instead of Heidi. Heidi was going to play on the left. But I started doing the training session, and after 10 minutes, I turned to Kevin and went, I can't do this. I just couldn't do it, Phil. I just couldn't concentrate. So I had to make a big decision then to either continue playing or not. And I just decided that was it. I never played again.
Was that a hard decision to actually convey to Barry and also the chairman? Because as you say, you'd been brought in as a twofold, really, as a experienced player who could help things in midfield and obviously be a manager as well. How did they take the news when you told them?
Well, Barry was like, I've told the chairman I'm signing the best midfielder in the league. That's Barry, and I said, well, Baz, I just couldn't do it. I was trying to organise everyone else in front of me. I was trying to organise the team. Which I'd been captain of Wrexham for a long time, so but then you're thinking as a manager, I just made the decision. I felt uncomfortable on the Thursday in the session, and don't get me wrong, there was many times I thought I should have put myself on the bench or just to come on for 15 minutes because obviously I was experienced, so that experience would help the younger group. But no, I made the cut then. I just thought, no, I've got to give this management a real crack, and I've got to succeed in this first job. For many reasons, for my own, because of my name, for the fact that I had to prove some people wrong, and just thought, well, he's got the job because Barry knows his dad or whatever. There was a lot to prove for myself. So I made that decision, and then I remember very well the first game we had at Lincoln.
I think that season we finished 10th, I think, in the sort of half of season, or less than half a season that you had. Were you, towards the end of that season, when you knew that probably playoffs was out of reach, were you immediately thinking, right, we need to get this, and this to help what we've got? Because, as you say, you had a nucleus of a half-decent squad, but there was going to have to be a lot of manoeuvring in the summer to get the players in that you wanted.
Yeah, we did. I mean, I think we got to a point in the season where we won 3 in a bounce. I think we beat Milton Keynes 4-0 at home. I remember we battered them. And we went to Shrewsbury on a Tuesday night, and that was to win 4 in the bounce. And I think that was to put us in the playoffs. I think we were really getting a bit of momentum. Gainey scored a lovely goal to put us 1-0 up. And I remember that we lost the game 2-1. And it really, and at that point I thought, well, we could be up against it here. Anyway, we sort of spluttered along and got close, but I felt never going to get in there really. And then we had a game at Chester where we still had a chance, but we had to win the game, and we drew, I think, 1-1. It was a boiling hot day. And then that was it then. I think it was 2 games to go then. And we had to win and hope that others... There was a small chance, but when there's a chance, you always got a bit of hope. Anyway, that was it now. And I just thought, right, I told the players, I said, look, it's nothing personal. I said, but a lot of you are going to be shifted on. I said, and I didn't wait. I just said it after the game. I'm not angry. I just said, look, this is it. I need to go in a different direction, and there's quite a few that I'm not going to go with me. So I told the players the ones I didn't want. There was quite a considerable amount, and I felt we had to get a couple of good characters in terms of with experience of winning the league. So obviously Keatsy and Westwood came in, but around that we had to get a bit more youth and legs, and then conveyed that to the chairman, and we cracked on, and Barry, and we cracked on with it.
Yeah. Was there anybody who you let go that was close to staying? Was there anybody properly on the sort of periphery of maybe getting another opportunity?
I can't remember when Gainey left. I'm not sure if he stayed.
Yeah, if he did, he didn't stay long, I don't think. I mean, because he was one, obviously, that had a lot of ability and a midfielder that was creative. I guess he might have been someone that you liked when you had him because he had the ability to do a few things from centre midfield.
No, he was a good player, Gainey. He really was. A great lad, Gainey. A great sense of humour. Lovely left foot. Didn't have much discipline in his game. Would run all over the park. I remember the first game he was all over the pitch, and I'd shown him after the game clips, and he was like, "Well, I want to go and get the ball." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you need to stay in your shape." And so, but he was a good player, Gainey, and he was probably one that I would say that was very, very close. But when we brought Keatsy and I had to try and build a team to what the players we had, I had McLean and Mikel Smith, which meant I had to play the 2 up front, which I liked anyway. So eventually we ended up playing in a way where we went to a back 4 with George on the left, but played him very in the way. So it was almost like a 4-3-3, and then Whelpdale at times and some others. And then we had obviously Keatsy and Heidi in the middle of the park. So for Guinea, it was going to be difficult for him to break through, so I had to be honest with him, and he moved on. But he was one that was close. But other ones, like, and no disrespect, but you had other ones that clearly had to move on, like Big Fooch, Branston. You had Simon Yeo, Benjamin Richards. They moved on. Richard did quite well. I think he went somewhere and did quite well. So there was obvious ones that I thought, well, we're going to have to get a bit more legs and better quality in there.
And the next season obviously was the promotion season. I mean, did you feel quite early on that you had a really good opportunity to get out of that league with the players that you had?
I was confident, yeah. I was confident, not overconfident, but I was confident we had goals. There was no question, I thought. And I hadn't seen anything like McKell Smith and McLean at that level for as long as I can remember. I can't remember two strikers like that, with the energy and the power and the ability to score goals. But behind that, we had Keatsy and Heidi, who were two very good midfield players. We signed young Welps, who did far better than anyone could have hoped. And then we had George, who was, George, once he got his confidence and understood the game a little bit better, it was outstanding for us, obviously. And the back four, we had Tiles with back forward. So we had Morgan, didn't we? Try to think who else. Who was the back four?
Morgan, Westwood, Claude Napka would have been right back.
Yeah, and then I think sometime Jamie Day. Astley was brilliant for us in League Two. So we had good balance to the team. And I don't think we started the season that great. I remember we lost in Chesterfield at home. I think we got beat 3-2. I think we lost to Rotherham. We got battered quite early in the season. Well, that's sort of the pattern that's gone with myself, with when I've had promotions. We generally don't start the season great or on fire. But then we gradually picked up. And towards, I think, Christmas time, you could see we had a right chance.
You mentioned Chris Whelpdale there, and I've obviously spoke to him quite recently, and it was weird with Whelps because he had unbelievable ability in terms of when he'd be able to get crosses in, and as he proved at Hereford. But he also gave you an outlet that you sometimes needed in League Two, which was the ability to win headers far up the pitch, and whether it be from goal kicks or whether it be from across, diagonal balls, he was sort of instrumental in mixing it physically when you had to.
Yeah, I mean, Welps was a fantastic signing for us. So whenever we wanted to kick and we had to kick, it was always to Welps pretty much. And Aaron would come over that because he was very good in the air as well. So, but Whelpsdale, he hardly lost a header, the boy. He was fantastic in the air, great timing. He could run all day. I mean, those days you didn't have the stats like you now do in terms, but he'd be 13k all every game, no question. The fittest boy, one of the fittest players I've had. Had a great ability to cross the ball. Had a long throw. He had a lot to. And when we brought him in, we thought, well, he's going to take him a bit of time, but because he could run up and down, he was constant. And he had good size. He had a lot to still learn in terms of his final ball and things like that. He got better, but he was brilliant for us, and he just gave us such an outlet on the right hand side.
Before we talk about the Hereford game, what was the dressing room like as well? Because you got a lot of characters in there, as you said. Keatsy was in there, Micah Hyde. I know the ruthless banter that Keatsy has, so as I was on the end of it. But did the dressing room sort of work as a dynamic from what you could see in those early days?
Yeah, I mean, it's always the most important thing to get the right group together, especially for a young manager, So Keats and Westwood were two brilliant signings in terms of, when I went to the chairman about that, they were a little bit older than what we were probably bringing in at the time. I said, look, we need these two. These two will get us the promotion. These two will run the dressing room. These two will... I've had different experience. I knew Westy anyway from years before, and I met them before the season ended, and it was done. They were the first two I think we brought in. Keatsy struggled at the start. Keatsy had a really tough time. I think his family really struggled to settle. And I remember having a conversation, and he struggled himself. I remember having a conversation with him about him going back to Walsall. And I said, look, if you're really struggling that much. And then all of a sudden, I remember leaving them out for one game, and it was Milton Keynes at home. We got beat 2-1. That was probably the wrong decision. And I think it really got to him, that decision. And we didn't fall out, but you could see there was a little bit of a strain there. But then all of a sudden he started playing, and listen, I still speak to Keatsy now. He's a good friend, Keatsy. So, but him and Heidi were really, really good in there. And had all the respect, and Westy had all the respect of the younger ones, you know, so I could sort of leave them to it a little bit. Heidi had to be checked in now and again, you know, but nothing too bad. But they were great. And then on top of that, you had, you know, Morgan was, you know, experienced. Charlie Lee, remember, he came in and he could talk Charlie. He never shut up Charlie, to be fair. And then you had McLean was a good character. So you had good characters and real hunger in that squad. That was the thing. They were really hungry, these guys, to get success.
And the promotion at Hereford, obviously, Dean Keats's diving header, Welps's cross into the box, obviously probably as far away as you could possibly win a promotion from Peterborough at Hereford. And I know a lot of fans went down there not expecting to get promoted that day, but it all kind of went to plan. And it's strange when you analyse all of the promotion wins, the Colchester game or whatever, there was never really any doubt that you were going to win that game, even though it was only one goal.
Yeah, it was a very tense affair because Hereford were right in there as well. They were right in the mix. And I remember, I think the game previous at home, I think we played Stockport. We won 1-0, and they had a Stonewall penalty in the last minute, and the ref didn't give us a break. So we went to Hereford knowing that a win would get us up. That was right, wasn't it? So yeah, we were confident going into the game, but it was obviously quite a tense game, and it was. Yeah, we were on top, and then Keatsy, great cross and a fantastic header, and we'd 1 or 2 opportunities to really kill it. But then it went all the way at the last minute, and you're thinking, blow up, ref, blow up. And of course he did. And listen, it was a fantastic day. And for that group of players and for everyone, the chairman, Barry, Bob, chairman wasn't there. It was a great day. It really wasn't for the fans, because we did take quite a few. And I remember it was pouring down with rain, and we all went over to them in the corner. So now that was the start of it, really. It was great. I remember ringing the chairman after the game, and he showed what he was all about. Then he wasn't flat. He wasn't overexcited. He was like, "Well, I want to win the league." So we're all celebrating. He's like, "I want to win the league." I went, "So do I." And he went, "Well, let's try and win it." And obviously we didn't, but you know, he was showed what he was about then. You know.
Yeah, obviously moving into the next season, having spoken to so many people and players that were involved in it. They all said the same thing, that there was such a huge belief that you were going to get promoted again, and that came from you. That came from what you said to them that made them believe that it didn't matter who they were going to play in terms of the size of the club. They felt that they were going to get promoted again. Was that something that you, obviously given the instruction from the chairman, I'd imagine you'd probably thought, well, why can't we do it again? Let's believe we can do it again.
Yeah, I had a great belief, and it definitely got through to the players in the group and in my staff and everyone, really. I had a real strong belief that, and what I said to them and tried to drum home to them leading up to the promotion the first time, the League Two, was, look, if we get promoted this season, we're going to go again. Trust me. I said that to them. I said, we're not going to just stop. We're going to go League Two, we're going to go League One, and we're going to do it in 2 seasons. And not much is going to change. I said, you have to have every confidence in that. So we're going to get this promotion done. We're not going to be partying for weeks, because it's the start of what we're trying to do here. But I think I'd convinced them that they knew going into the next season, well, it is just the start, and we're going to try and do it again. And we had a little bit of a wobble, I think, again at the start of that season. But again, once you got to Christmas, and especially when we get to March, Easter time, we were flying, and you knew it was similar. We tried to win the league, and Leicester picked us.
I think in terms of the player turnover, probably not as high in terms of players that left from League Two to League One. A few obviously fell by the wayside, but I think the core of the group was so solid that I guess you didn't really feel the need to change it too drastically.
No, and I think that was the aim when we recruited the season before. I think similar to what I've done most seasons, to try and recruit, when the start of the recruitment is to not swap it again the following season and make 6 or 7 changes. We recruited players that we felt could go again. And then that's what we did. So the core of the squad remained as it was. And I was true to my word with the players and said, look, if you get us there, I'm going to give you every chance to get us up again. And they really trusted everything then, you know, and because that was the case. Obviously, there was 1 or 2 that fell by the wayside, as there always is, but there wasn't wholesale changes because they didn't need to be. And I didn't feel they needed to be. And obviously, we dealt with that season very, very well.
Yeah, was it? I mean, obviously from a fan perspective, obviously because there was teams like Leicester, teams like Leeds, teams like Southampton were at that level at that time. Did you have to just convince the players that it's 11v11? Don't think about the team, don't think about the size of the club, the heritage, etc., etc. Or were they so convinced that they had the ability anyway that you didn't really need to do anything from a mental side of things for those games?
No, it was installing belief into the players as opposed to worrying about the opposition. And, you know, I remember we went to Leicester. I remember we got beat 4-0. That was in that season. Yeah. That was the game where I was getting into that so confident. Not overconfident, but I thought we're going to be a match for these. And we didn't turn up. And that was probably the worst I was with them that season because I basically just said, you bottled it. You didn't show you any belief in yourself. You worried because it was Leicester, the big stadium, big club. You've not even done yourself any justice in that game. I remember it very, very well. We got beat 4 comfortably.
Craig Morgan own goal, I think, was the first goal.
Yeah. Andy King got a couple, I think, one header. We just didn't turn up, and they gave us a battle, you know. And I went away from that game, and what I said to the players was, look, if you're not going to have any belief in the fact that we can challenge these teams in this league, then you're never going to achieve what you should be achieving. So that was a big turning point in the season because I think the players felt that one. They came away thinking, no, we didn't show up. We didn't have the confidence. And then we played Leeds. We'd beaten Leeds 2-0. And then, of course, probably the one that everyone remembers, we beat Leicester 2-0 at home. And Whelpdale scored a great second goal. And we had too much for them. We showed belief that day. You know, so I think the turning point might have been the Leicester game because that was an embarrassment for us that day. We took it's geographically, it was a good game for the punters, and the punters turned out and thought, wow, actually we're maybe nowhere near where we thought we were. So it was a bit of a kick up the backside that maybe we needed, but it was a disappointing day because I felt the players let themselves down that day.
Well, that second Leicester game was obviously towards the back end of the season, to a point whereby I think you went within about 6 points of them. I think we were top at the time, and obviously we were second. And there was a real belief and real opportunity that we could actually win the league, despite, you know, regardless of getting promoted. Did you feel that was achievable, or were you just concentrating on getting promoted?
To be honest, we were just trying to make sure we stayed up, sort of matched them, and we were obviously looking over our shoulders a little bit as well. So it was more about maintaining that automatic position, and I wasn't overthinking about winning the league, I've got to be honest. But when we beat them, then I thought, yeah, we've got a chance of winning this league. And the next game we went to Oldham, and we won. Can't remember the score. Might have been 5-0. Maybe not. No, yeah. I can't remember.
We definitely won 5-0 at Oldham. That was McCall.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that day. And I remember we got in the showers and Leicester's game finished late and they lost in the last minute. And I think Boydie turned at me and went, we're going to win this. And everyone felt, yeah, we're going to win this league. We're going to catch these. But obviously we didn't. I think we had a slip up somewhere along the way, obviously. So, but yeah, no, it was a great season, and just a pity both seasons we couldn't actually finish it by winning it.
Obviously Colchester away and everything that surrounded that game. I mean, the fact that, again, we were very comfortable in terms of the performance. It was only 1 goal, but I never really felt troubled in terms of conceding. What was those last couple of minutes in the game like? And subsequently, what were those celebrations without really knowing that we were up like?
I remember the last couple of minutes like it was yesterday. It was honestly, it was so nerve-wracking because we'd been very comfortable in the game, and when you get to that stage of the season, both teams were shattered. And I remember us having so many breakaways. I think Mikel missed a couple, and you're just like, oh my, this is. And then Mark Yates cut inside off the left, and he's hit one. And I thought, that's him. and you're just waiting for it to hit the net. And I think it just clipped the stanchion, or it was inches wide. But leading up to the game, we were going into it with obviously a lot of confidence, and I remember we weren't sure before the game that their team came in, and we weren't sure whether Yates was going to play off the front or Yates was going to play wide right. And Charlie Lee turned to me and went, because I think he'd been played with Yates at Tottenham or something. Charlie said to me, I just hope that he's playing right wing. I'm going to murder him. I thought, so do I now. And then Yates, he played, because he was a good player, Yates, but his strength wasn't defending. And Charlie just ran the legs off him. He just kept running. We just kept saying, Boydie, play right inside the pitch to leave the space for Charlie. And Charlie just kept running up and down. He scored the goal, and he could have got a couple more, Charlie, that day. He was fantastic, and he did. He killed the boy. He just kept running, and Boydie played his position right inside the pitch. So he ended up getting the winner. In the last couple of minutes, it was just nerve-wracking, and you're just like, come on, blow it. So when he blew the whistle, my first thing was, right, well, how Milton Keynes done? And of course, I turned, I think, to look up to the stands, and I'm like, what's going on? And I think Barry just came down and went, we're up. Or someone said, we're up. I think the chairman might have come on the pitch and said, we're up. So, of course, we're all thinking, oh, we're up, and we're all celebrating. And we would imagine now on that, we could have got that on Sky, we hadn't gone up. So, and then someone said, no, we're not up. They've got 5 minutes to play. So I think I ran into the dressing room. I can't remember. And I think I wrote my brother Jason, and he went, what are you doing? They're still playing. I went, oh, for fuck's sake. So anyway, we had to wait 4 or 5 minutes, and I think Milton Keynes had chance after chance. All they needed was an equaliser to take it to the next week. But of course, you know, they didn't get it, and then it was madness, absolute madness. I remember Joe Lewis got me on the floor, and the lads soaked me, and it was. I mean, in terms of my career, it's got to be right up there as one of the best days ever, because it was so good. To do that was unbelievable, really.
It was amusing me, before we go on to the championship, when you've had 2 years of success. Obviously, having worked on worked during the time of the Big Ron documentary, and obviously watching back and seeing fistfights in the dressing room. Did you ever have any of that during those promotion years? Was there any time where the dressing room was a bit antagonistic in terms of, you know, either angry or disappointed, or anything that led to something you walked in and think, what's going on here?
I think we had a few. I don't think the players. I think maybe I had a few run-ins with some of them. Definitely with Westy a couple of times. Westy could lose it, and I could lose it, and me and him would go for each other. I remember after we played Chesterfield and got beat 3-2, and I can't mind the striker. Who was the striker for Walsall? Can't remember his name, but I told him, look, don't get too tight, because he twists and turns, and he first goal, twist and turn Westy, and he scored. And I've had a go at Westy, and he's come back at me. And so there was that. Keatsy as well would have his say. Heidi, McLean, I remember I lost it with Aaron at Mansfield. He got it bad, and he came back to me. But in terms of the players, not really. There was a real determination in that, you know, and there was a lot of disappointment. Not in terms of fighting. I've seen where people have gone for each other, but no, it was more about anger towards themselves. So no, it was a tough group, a determined group, but in the right way, you know. But yeah, I mean, in those days, you're a bit younger, you lose it probably a little bit more. But I didn't mind players coming back to me at all. I thought that was a healthy thing at times.
Yeah. The championship season obviously didn't end particularly well. Obviously, I think it was the Newcastle game, wasn't it, where you lost the job. Did you feel early doors that it was going to be a bigger challenge than you anticipated?
Well, the challenge then was when we got promoted, what do we do?
Mm.
Do we go and try and get more experienced players? Or do we leave it as it is? But obviously buy 1 or 2. I can't remember off the top of my head who we did buy, but my decision was leave it. I think I was really confident going into the championship. I misjudged it. I was a little bit naive. But what had happened, it was not just the fact that the players, I think they were good enough to cope with the championship, you know. We had a real belief that we were going to have a really good season, you know, because we felt that we had the energy, the desire, the determination. We had the momentum, which is huge. But what had happened then in the championship was there was a huge difference. Straight away, I think in this, we got really quality. Strikers were far better. better finishes, didn't need 3, 4, 5 chances. Centre-halves and defenders and goalkeepers were generally better standard, which we knew, but when you start playing against them. But what also happened was we lost our confidence because we started losing games. We weren't used to it. We lost our confidence. I lost probably a little bit of confidence, and maybe in myself. And I think the chairman lost a bit of confidence as well. So it all combined that we all of a sudden got this momentum going together and we're winning games. And of course we did win some games. And then the realization was, okay, maybe we've got this wrong and maybe we do need to bring in 1 or 2 more experienced players, which I spoke to the chairman about, which at the time, well, looking back now, were unrealistic targets, I've got to be honest, because we were still Peterborough. We could only get so many in the crowds and we still had a budget and all the rest of it. So I wouldn't say panic, but got that bit wrong, and maybe should have just.
Who were you trying to sign? Were you trying to sign Alan Shearer or?
No, centre half. It was Gardner we tried to sign, but he was an astronomical money at Stoke, I think it was. I said to them, I think we need 1 or 2 more experienced players just to help these lads out, because I hadn't lost faith in the lads. And I remember we went to Newcastle and we just signed Scott Griffiths, and the chairman came to the hotel the night before. You kind of thinking, okay, all right. And we had a chat, and in the morning of the game we had a chat, and then he came on the bus to the game, which he'd never done before. And I didn't think at the time, oh, it's because I'm under pressure here. But I felt the Newcastle game, we were playing against such a good team. The Nolan, the Carroll, it was Benno's debut, and he was excellent, Benno. We just signed him. There was another young one, but we felt we were sticking to what our guns, in the sense that, okay, he might be young, but we're going to develop him and we're going to sell him on, which with Benno, obviously, we did very, very well. So we still stuck to that philosophy, but I felt we still needed 1 or 2 more experienced players. And of course, at the time, the chairman was like, well, in the summer you didn't. And I'm like, well, I've changed my mind. And he's like, well, okay, well, you've got that wrong, so fine. But I still had confidence in the players and just felt. So we got to the Newcastle game and we got beat 3-1. We got well beaten, and the chairman after the games sent me a message, which was quite colourful, and I just sort of reacted in a way and thought he doesn't get this. We're Peterborough. We've just played against a Premiership team, really, and tried to hold our own, but they were too good for us in a day. So there was a real, at that point, separation in the relationship. And we ended up becoming like 2 12-year-olds. And the fact that Barry said, look, you're going to have to phone him. And I was like, no, he can ring me. And obviously Darren was saying, I'm not ringing him, he can ring me. So it became a bit of a stupid, looking back now, it's so stupid. And Nicola, my missus, is telling me, you got to ring him. And I'm like, nah. And she's like, this is pathetic. It's probably Natalie's telling Darren. So it was ridiculous, and really. And then Barry just phoned me on a Sunday morning and said, look, I need to meet you. So I met him at a hotel, and he said, look, what's going on? I went, look, we need new players. I said, and what we'd done at that time, we'd had quite a large squad, but a large part of the squad, or a third of the squad, were players that were clearly at that time weren't ready for the championship. We brought younger ones in, Dominic Green and people, like quite a few of them. I was like, these aren't ready yet. So it kind of got back to Darren that I wanted to sell the whole group, which wasn't the case. It was never going to be the case, because we had some really, really good players that could easily cope in the championship. So obviously that was not my thinking. But what I'd said was, well, if we shift or move some of them on that are clearly not going to be ready, whether it be on loan or whatever, and then we can maybe bring 1 or 2 more experiences. So the day continued. It got to Sunday night. There was still no conversation between me and the chairman. And I went in on the Monday morning and met Barry and Bob, and it was really strange. Barry was like, Bob just went, you're done, aren't you? And I went, yeah, I'm done. I'm finished. And he went, right, that's it. And I went, yeah, that's it. It's finished. And that was it. It was as simple as that. That was it. And I just thought, our time's finished. The relationship is broken. And then the whole day took ages because the contract situation was getting sorted. My lawyers were sorting it, which took longer than I wanted. And And I never spoke to chairman again for a long time. And that was it. And then Barry obviously came out and indicated that I'd been tapped up. I'd never been tapped up. I never would do that. I'd had opportunities to move on before, and the chairman wasn't having it. So I thought, okay, fine. But the time had come, and that was it, really. And looking back now, I wish it hadn't happened. I do regret the way it ended. I don't think anyone deserved the way it ended, if I'm going to be honest, because of what we had done. And it almost seemed like that was forgotten. So that was a difficult period, yeah.
And just finally, in this part, you mentioned you had opportunities to go elsewhere. Were they in your mind? Obviously, I presume they were higher clubs. So was it a difficult decision, or were you part of the project at that point that you thought, I don't want to leave this whilst we've got something good going?
There was a lot of speculation going on about clubs coming in for me, QPR in particular, one. But in no time did I speak to any of these clubs. The big one was when I was at the airport. I think it was coming back from the Champions League final. I was on my own, I think. I can't remember too much about that. But I got a call from Barry saying, look, Reading want to speak to you. They've come to us and approached you. And I said, okay, well, let me think about it. And I went back to him and went, look, I'm interested in seeing what they've got to say. I think Reading were in the Premiership at the time. And then Barry phoned me up and said, he's not going to let you speak to them. I went, why? He went, because he can't believe you're going to speak to them. I went, well, they're the Premiership team. It's just, so I'm just being honest here. And I said, okay, all right, if he doesn't want to let me speak to them, and then there's not much I can do about it. I don't think I kicked up too much of a fuss about it. I think I then went to Spain and signed a new contract where he was living at the time. So that was it. It was forgotten about. And I think that was before the championship season, that was after the second promotion. And I think at the time, once we got in the championship, I think the chairman felt that he should have let me go. And maybe that was why we were doing badly. It had nothing to do with that. It really didn't. As I said earlier, it was a little bit naive in my thinking going into the championship. And that was all it was. And everyone lost a bit of confidence in each other as a group. And sometimes that's the worst thing that can happen. So that was really it.